What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos.
What is up,
beautiful
Frosty
people?
Fist.
It's Wolf Brother Mythos.
What is up,
beautiful
Frosty
people?
Fist. Hold on one second.
It's Wolf Brother Mythos.
What is up,
beautiful?
Frosty? Okay, it would help if I muted myself. Sorry about that, guys. You know what? We're going to start over, okay? We're pretend that didn't happen. What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos from the channel Frost and Fist, and welcome to this video. It's funny because after all my testing the other night, I still had volume going on my playback here because I wanted to make sure that my sounds were set up correctly. And yeah, not scuffed at all. First try. So yeah, that's what had happened. What had happened was, yeah, first try. Darklight Dreamer, who took my dice and oversold gaming. Good to see you, my brothers. Oh man, it is so good to see you guys, and I have been hyped for tonight. I had the new intro, which I was super hyped about. Just got that put together last night, actually. That was the last thing I did before bed, was get the intro done using placeit.com. So it's not like I started from scratch, you know. But I used it, I got the intro put together last night, and I put it into OBS here as the last thing I did before bed, and I've just been hyped to get it going. Go for it, painting. Good evening, my friend. Good to see you. My brother Kane nailed it first time. Yes, sir. Glad to finally make another one of these. Also, sup, Raz? Good to see you. Good to see all of these good people today. Kane, my brother, I guess that's some Final Fantasy news. You know, that'll be my first bit of gaming news to talk about. So, of course, the brand new trailer for the new expansion in Final Fantasy XIV has been out for about a month now, and I am so hyped to play the new class Viper, which is a Twin Swords character. And it's got a bit of a piratey, you know, a swashbuckling kind of look to him, but I'm so hyped for it. And I was actually, so Darklight knew right away, Lily knew right away, and it made me feel good that my brother Kane here mentioned, so Mythos is going to be getting in on that, right? Knight of Twin Swords. I'm like, he remembered! So, I know I did a test the other night, guys, but this is the first, like, full flight. How's everything looking? How's everything sounding? How do you guys like the new intro? How the heck are you guys doing? I haven't played that in forever. I should get back on sometime soon. Absolutely. Knight of Twin Swords, let's go. Yes. Yes, sir. The demo for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is out, and oh my god, it's amazing. Cannot wait for the full game. Glad they're making some Crisis Core much more important this time around. Man, I definitely need to get caught up on my Final Fantasy VII goodness. I've got, I need to play 7, but also I've got, and this is me being greedy here, I've got 7 on my wish list now because I've got it on the PlayStation, you know, but, you know, I've got to make time to share, you know, the main TV with everybody. So now I've got it on my Steam wish list. I've got Crisis Core, the Crisis Core remake on my wish list. I can't wait to get caught up on all the Final Fantasy VII goodness. Looks and sounds good. Thank you so much. But yeah, so I'm definitely hyped for some Final Fantasies. So unfair for them to release Persona 3 Reload and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth back to back. Oh my goodness. I have to say, I love 7. 7 was my favorite game for the longest time. But I am so hyped for Persona 3 to be back in a remake. And I get to see my baby Mitsuru. It's going to be a good time. In HD, no less. Alright guys, before we get on to the gaming news, we're going to talk about, you know what I got for a poke chop. Okay, what's been on my workbench. And, one thing I don't have here is I do need to work on I've got a battle report we're going to be we've got scheduled in 2 weeks with my brother Atlas. And so I need to get my Redemptor painted up. I need to finish up my Predator tank. Those, you know, the full las cannon Predator tank Hey, it's Firstborn, it's old school, but it still put in some work for me last game. Wolf Brother Mythos is ready to be executed by Mitsuru. Yes, sir. Persona 3 Reload is free on Gamer Pass, which means I don't have to pick one or the other. Oh, that's awesome. Man, that Gamer Pass has been coming in clutch for you. And Darklight Dreamer and Oversoul Gamer are both Let's Play content creators, so definitely check out their channels. Of course, Darklight Dreamer transitioned a couple years ago over to Twitch, so you may not find as much YouTube content now. But both of them very, very, very talented commentators and Let's Players. So definitely check out their channels. I just finished Danganronpa over on Oversoul Gaming's channel, and he even did the he did a live stream of the new Silent Hill game, and that actually is really good, and is a really good commentary on some of our internal struggles and, people dealing with thoughts of suicide and stuff like that. It's just really good and really well done. And so it's really worth checking out. And if you're going to watch somebody play, if you're going to go play yourself, it's free. That's awesome. It's kind of their tech demo, but also like really great story, kind of really great story piece. But also, like, because it is a tech demo, it's free. You can go play it yourself. Or if you want to watch someone else play it, like Oversoul Gaming did a great job. Gotta bounce, have a great night. Have a great night. Who took my dice? Yeah, but both of them very good. And then, of course, my next thing, one of the contenders for Game of the Year last year, I can't wait to watch Alan Wake 2 over on Oversoul Gaming's channel. So definitely check them out. I'm looking forward to it. I like watching them play some scary games. And Alan Wake's got such a good story, and I really love the first one, and I can't wait to see what the second one's got in store. Myself, video game wise, I haven't really played much lately, but when I have made time, I've been playing some Dragon Age Origins. I've been going through kind of some stressful stuff at work over the last couple months, and when I am stressed, I want to play, instead of something new and exciting, I want to play something old and familiar. It's very comforting to me. And that's how I ended up with 11 playthroughs on Dragon Age Origins. I'm on my, 10 previously. I'm on my 11th one now. So, yeah, I'm really, really hyped. It's been very, very pleasant to go back through. Of course, anytime I play Dragon Age Origins, I have like one of each of different kinds of builds. I've got like a two-handed axe, warrior, berserker, and I've got a sword and shield guy. I've got a mage. I've got a I've got a rogue archer. I've got a dagger archer. But my favorite build, I have to say, a good at least 5-6 of all my playthroughs are all Knight of Twin Swords kind of warrior characters. They also changed the name of Game Pass to Microsoft Game Pass, so take that as you will. Nice. Alan Wake 2, very hype, and comfort gaming for the win. Yes, sir. Other things, aside from video games that I've been doing. I have been playing a little Overwatch, although not as much as before, because, like I said, I've been kind of stressed, and, PvP is not always good for when you're in a stressed mindset. So we've been taking that in bite-sized chunks, and then, like, when I get fed up, it's been time to just, I'll just tell my wife, all right, babe, I'm done for now. I can't play. Had to take that in more bite-sized chunks, but I did finish my battle pass and get the cool mythic Orisa skin for this season, which is awesome. Brother Atlas, what is up, beautiful people, baby? Good to see you, my brother. All right, so let's get on to tabletop. After all, this is a tabletop channel. And what kind of things have I been up to? Something I've been kind of fiddling with this boy, my Basilisk conversion, because I bought a Manticore in the same body. Actually, this also is. So I bought a Manticore in the same body. It had 4 missiles on top. And this here was like the body of the missile launcher where all 4 rockets would sit. Now, then what happened is that I ordered it, and it went way, 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 way past due. And so eventually on Etsy, I marked it as, the product was lost because it was like way, way past due date. And they said, don't worry about it. They printed me another one, sent it to me. So I ended up with 2 of these, what would have been Manticores. And eventually, the one that they sent second showed up first. And eventually, the long lost one got here. And had already built and painted the Manticore. And I told them, hey, this one finally arrived. They said, no problem, keep it. Things get lost in the mail all the time. I said, okay, cool. Thank you so much. And I had this Basilisk cannon here from when I was going to make an Orc cannon wagon conversion. And so, and it came with the shield when I bought the bits off of the eBays. And I was like, okay, well, I have one Manticore. And so I just kind of took the little missile launcher part off and stuck the Basilisk cannon on here. And I've made my little Basilisk conversion. So this will be sitting next to his Manticore brother. And yeah, so I'm really pleased to actually have one, especially, by the way, I started this conversion like in December or November or something like that. It was way before they ended up murdering the Manticore in the last balance update. But it's actually a good time to have a Basilisk now. But yeah, mostly done. I do have a couple of areas here that probably aren't going to show up very well on camera. But you can see like there's some... that gap's not so bad. On this side, it's a little bit worse, and like where stuff was getting glued and sliced and fitted in along, there's some scuff work here. I need to figure out how to blend that in or put something that there where you can see some of the shoddy building and conversion work. But for the most part, I'm pretty pleased with the way my Basilisk has come out, and I think it'll, like, especially sitting next to his Manticore brother, where they'll both have the same chassis, they'll look good together. So I'm really pleased with how that came out. So that one is, I'm going to do my heat bloom effects on that next, sometime this weekend, and then hit them up with the old Ultramatte varnish, and this bad boy will be ready to be put in my books as a finished model for February. So that is one thing I've had on the go. Hey, Killy, good to see you. Brother Roxas, yo! I don't do a lot of PvP stuff, but I'm pleasantly happy with Boomsarce. It's casual friendly. Hey, that's the kind of thing that I need. I am a hyper casual. Looks good so far. Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. One cool thing that is a great merger of video games and tabletop. I have been doing I haven't been doing a lot of hobby over the last couple months because I've had so much going on. But I have done some printing, and this is a great merger of tabletop and video games here. I printed out this really cool Warthog from Halo, and it's got Space Marines in it. It is all battle damage to hell, which I don't think was intentional. I think that's a printing error, but it looks like it's awesomely just battle damage, like it's been through it. And so what this is going to represent on the tabletop for me is I'm revitalizing my White Scars army, my Space Asians, and they're a very bike-heavy army because they're supposed to be like, the fabled Mongol riders, but instead of horses, they've got steel horses, they've got the motorcycles. And really, not a very powerful combo, but a very fun combo is putting a chaplain with a squad of Outrider motorcycles, and then you can tack on what they call a Primaris Invader ATV into the unit. And yeah, I've taken the gun here and made it a Melta tip at the end for 40k, and so this will be able to be a Melta ATV that can ride behind my biker units. I'll paint it up in the White Scars colors, and yeah, it'll be a cool little squad. I even downsized it to be closer to the dimensions of the ATV. Now, of course, some people are going to have a yes, that's what it's meant to be. It's the Warthog from Halo, but like Space Marine-ified. Well, I mean Warhammer Space Marine, because technically, I guess the Spartans are kind of Space Marines. But yeah, so it is out of scale, right? Like a Primaris Marine here from Warhammer is this size, and to scale it down to be the right size of the ATV for Warhammer, these guys got really small, but that's okay. I don't really care how legit it looks. I'm gonna have a freaking White Scars Warthog from Halo in my army, and I'm going to paint it up. And yeah, it's going to be kind of badass. I also loved how in this sculpt, there's like a Space Marine hanging out Stop looking at my face. Yeah, there we go. There's a Space Marine hanging out the side with his bolt gun, you know, trying to mow down people while his buddy's driving and his guy's over the top with the cannon. So, yeah. It just makes me think of Red versus Blue. Sarge said I could get in the Warthog and crush your head like a tomato. That's the worst Southern impression I've ever heard. Hey, as long as you like it, who cares? Exactly. Exactly. And as a fan of Halo, someone when I worked at GameStop, every Saturday, this whole crew of us who worked at GameStop or were friends of people who worked at GameStop, we would all every Saturday night we'd go to one of the guys' houses, and we'd all pack up our Xboxes and have this massive LAN, and we'd be playing big team battle with like 16 of us versus 16, people online all night, and we'd be drinking. There would be, just booze and Halo all night. And yeah, does it look legit? But does it look cool? That's the important question. Exactly, and that's exactly what I'm going for, my brother. Brother Roxas, so is the girl that's gone Xeon then? Ashley, hope you're doing well. Gamers with Coffee, welcome to the chat. I don't want to spoil Kingdom Hearts 3 from Mythos, but it should cure the sadness around that character. Does it look... oh, yeah. Already got there. Fair enough. Can always read a synopsis. The ending ties the whole series together. I'm looking forward to actually watching the Let's Play of Kingdom Hearts 3 once I get there. I've been slowly working through my backlog of content lately, and so I'm just really hyped to enjoy all of these stories from the perspective of some of my favorite content creators. What else have I been working on? So some of you know I am a lover of Imperial Guard stuff, and along those lines, some of my favorite books in all of Warhammer are the Gaunt's Ghost series, and therefore, the Imperial Guard of Tanith. Hellworks, good to see you, my man. The Men of Tanith, of course, the Tanith first and only, are some of my favorite Imperial Guards. And so I found some cool files, and I have Kriegers in my army because they're like the most competitive choice right now. I have Cadians in my army because they're very cool, and I really enjoyed the Minka-Lesk series. But now I've got some Tanith in my army, and they will represent Catachans in my list. And even found a cool combination of things that you can do with Catachan, including taking Strachan. I have a Strachan that I painted up for the last edition, and he'll be running with these guys. The Tanith, of course, are famed for their camo cloaks that they always wear straight black with their camo cloaks. And so I'm going to be doing their straight black uniforms with the green camo cloaks. And I'll be doing them in the style of Warboss green and Waflesh, to tie them together to my the rest of my Imperial Guard army. But yeah, so, and then I'm really excited to bring these characters to life. My lovely Lady Lily for Christmas actually bought me the Gaunt's Ghost characters. So I'll have them in my army. And so to have some infantry to go with them, I've got some soldiers of Tanith, lasguns and all that stuff. From Reptilian Overlords, they make a more modern Catachan unit. And so I've got my Catachan Flamers from them, which Flamer units are really big in the Tanith novels as well, especially for some of the main characters like Broston, is the Flame Man, and friends with Mr. Yellow, which is the fire. He's a legal pyro is what he is. He is a lover of the flames. So got that coming up. And then one thing I thought that was really cool was that if I'm going to have the Tanith as my Catachan, and I'm going to have the Gaunt's Ghost character models, I found this really cool print of Bryn Milo with the bagpipes, because the Tanith always had, for all of their important battles, the pipes playing in the background, you know, to boost the morale of the men as they went into battle. And so, you know, does it do anything for my army? Absolutely not. He's just going to be a regular lasgun man. I've got my las rifle here strung out across his back. So it's just going to be a flavorful regular infantry guy. But having an iconic character like Bryn Milo playing the bagpipes in battle, it's just going to be super cool. And it's going to make me feel good as a fan of those novels. So I'm super hyped about that. So I haven't done much in the way of painting for the last few weeks, but I have done quite a bit of printing and kind of started setting up on hype for the Tanith in my Imperial Guard army. Now, as we discussed, something I was considering in our last chat 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I said White Scars don't feel like White Scars anymore. And if anything, the Raven Guard feel more like White Scars than the White Scars have felt, honestly, since 8th edition. And don't get me wrong, like, I can appreciate that they don't have their own codex anymore, just like the, Imperial Fists, the Ultramarines, the Salamanders. It really makes more sense for them to be lumped into one book. But with the removal of things like veterans on bikes, captains on bikes, the Khan on a bike, they're starting to feel like they're just losing that White Scars flavor. So I pulled the trigger, and I am kind of playing Dark Angels now, but I'm not. I'm breaking out the old White Scars army, probably adding a few units to it, and I'm really just going to be playing my White Scars as these Dark Angels, so I can get that Raven Wing flavor. I've got my old veteran units on bikes with their ball and chain style meteor hammers. Those can be used as the Ravenwing Black Knights Corvus hammers. And yeah, so I'm going to be able to, use them the way that honestly, the way I miss playing them from 8th edition. And so, yeah, my White Scars are going to be beat sticks on their bikes in combat now. They're going to have that plasma goodness from the Black Knights. I'll be able to bring my Khan on bike again, and he'll be Samael from the Dark Angels. And so, yeah, bringing back my Space Asians army. That's why I went looking for an ATV and ended up finding that cool Warthog here that I'm really so hyped about. I love how much lore goes into your squads. It's funny because, like, the reason so much lore goes into that is because, like, I just consume franchise lore all the time. And so, like, the Gaunt's Ghost books that I said that I was basing this squad off of, I think there's like 16 books of the Gaunt's Ghost series that I've read. And, just, I joke that my wife shouldn't let me read any more books, because every time I start reading some of the cool lore and some of these awesome stories from some of their novels, that's when I start getting the bug, like, man, I kind of want an army of this now. And so, in a way, reading books gets expensive. Every time I read Gaunt's Ghosts, I want to play Imperial Guard too. They're so good. The Gaunt's Ghost stories are just so good. I miss those days. They just seem so much more carefree. Yes! Playing Halo together. Yeah, those were some good days, man. And then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. For real, though. Mythos, you're a fan of the Warhammer. Are you a fan of the Warhammer video games? Like Vermintide? I know Funky Turtles is, and there's a new one coming this month called Realms of Ruin. I need to try the Vermintide games. I need to get into them. I haven't played any of the Vermintide games, but I have played their sci-fi analog, Warhammer 40k Darktide, and I love Darktide. And because I love Darktide so much, I do want to go back and play Vermintide. And some of the other games too, like I enjoyed Deathwing. Deathwing was very fun mechanically, although it felt a little clunky and it was just very difficult. But it felt cool to be a Space Marine in Terminator armor, stomping around and killing stuff as a Space Marine. But yeah, there are it's definitely a wide scatter shot, because there are a lot of Warhammer video games, and I enjoy some of them. Definitely not all of them. I'm curious about the video games books tie into the lore of the tabletop game. I'm a sucker for multimedia franchises. An example of the video games that I really enjoyed was the first one, and it's an older game. It's about, I'm going to lie to you and tell you, like 10 years old now, but how old is it? Space Marine video game date. All right, that, I asked for that, so it just gave me a bunch of release dates for number 2 coming out sometime this year. Okay, so this one came out in 2011. So what did I say, 10 years? I was off by about 3 years. So it came out in 2011. It was very good as a third person kind of, shooter melee kind of game. It's very, very good. And that one really got me hyped for Space Marines. The books got me hyped for Space Marines. And there's like the lore goes between all of it. It is one of those things, though, that the lore is so wide and massive. Like, it's hard to say everything is canon. In a weird way, they try and make most of it canon, but then, like, there are sometimes conflicting information. And the way they get around that is because they always talked about unreliable narrators, and they're like, well, you're kind of, reading these books from this perspective or that perspective, or the way history remembers it, which is fine. But yeah, it's just such a massive series of lore, kind of like Star Wars did a long time ago, where they just let anybody write a Star Wars novel. But then eventually, when Disney bought them, they had to rein some of that in and kind of like streamline what the lore was, because when you have 5 million artists writing the same franchise of books, the lore can get kind of muddled. And Warhammer has that problem to a degree. It's a smaller team, but still, when you have lots of people writing the same franchise lore, it can get a little messy. But overall, the books, tabletop, and they've done a lot better too with establishing canon lore and canon storyline over the last 5-10 years. So they've been straightening it out to a degree. But yeah, it's like pretty much everything now that's part of all of this multimedia goodness is in some way, actual lore. It all ties together. But one of the things that they do that gets around that is because it is such a massive universe that they can do, side stories and stuff like that don't ever really affect the main lore, and that's why you can have so many forms of media. It is kind of crazy, though, that here in the last month, they came out with one of the biggest turning points of the lore in an official novel, and it's something that everybody's known about because it's been talked about. It's been, the lore has come out from a high level, and so Warhammer 40,000, because it's in the 41st millennium, right? Well, there's Warhammer 30,000, which is called the Horus Heresy, and it's 10,000 years before. And it's like a civil war that kind of put the universe in the state that it's in by the time you're playing in 40,000. And a lot of people know that the conclusion of that 30K era was when a character, a dark side character named Horus confronted the Emperor of Mankind, and they fought each other, and basically they both died as a result of that. The Emperor slew Horus, but received a mortal wound, and he had to, he's been on life support in the Golden Throne, neither dead nor alive, for the past 10,000 years. Okay, and that's always kind of been their high level. Well, their lore has actually reached a point where that conclusion, that was always been kind of a high level milestone in history, the biggest milestone in history, they actually have a novel on that now. And so that's pretty neat. That's like, oh wow, this is like the big thing, So it's pretty cool. So I showed you all what's been on my bench. Something I have kind of dabbled around painting up a little bit in meetings and stuff like that. It's funny because I usually have a very standard recipe for leather, and I just haven't liked how my leathers come out looking this time around, and I kind of like want to repaint and start over, but the basing is already done. I don't know, but sometimes you just have to paint until you get out of the ugly phase, and it will look better later. And so anyways, I feel like I jacked up all the leather on these guys. And of course, it's still very, very early doors. You know, these guys are nowhere near done. So I could go back and start over again, but do I want to go back and start over? And so I've just got these guys kind of in limbo for a while. You'll notice that they are missing their shield arm, because the shield arm would cover up a bunch of the body. So I have their shields separate, so that way it wouldn't obstruct the painting. And of course their heads for the same reason. I can paint the heads more detailedly without their heads. But yeah, they're in a very sloppy, messy state at the moment because I didn't like how the leathers are looking. I could try adding more to it, but of course, the more I touch it up and stuff like that, the more layers of paint I'm adding. I don't know. It's in an ugly phase right now. I think I just need to push past it. But I've been procrastinating on them ever since doing those leathers. And part of that is because I paint some of these little things like pouches and stuff like that when I'm sitting in meetings. And if the meeting is particularly stressful or irritating, then the quality of my paint does suffer. Thanks for that info. I'm sure it's refreshing for you to info dump lore on me for a change. It's my pleasure, you know. Very similar. I remember you phrased it in a way that, you know, info dumping is a form of a love language, and yeah, that's just part of the way that friends sometimes express their bond with each other, right? Is by talking about the thing that they love, you know. And sometimes it does come out in that, you know, info dump. In fact, in my ranting about the Horus Heresy and the World of Warhammer, I've dropped 4 viewers, but that's fine. Sometimes not everybody appreciates the info dump, but as someone, really nice intro screen. Thank you so much, brother. Kane, I don't know if you saw it earlier. I just made this last night on a website called Place It, but I'm so proud of my intro screen. Check it out. I'm so proud of that thing. Oh, no, don't worry about it. I mean, like I said, I enjoy talking about the lore and stuff like that in all the media. So, you know, people come, people go, you know. That's what it is. The live stream is me talking about the parts of the hobby that I enjoy, you know, and the lore is something I really enjoy. So, yeah, no need to be sorry, man. I appreciate that you asked about the lore. All right, guys, so that is my pork chop. That is all the hobby stuff that I have been up to this week. And we're going to jump into some of the tabletop news this week. That is nice. Thank you so much, Brother Kane. I lost viewers in Silent Hill after that jump scare, so I get it. You lost viewers for the jump scare? Man, I watch your horror stuff for the jump scares. I know it doesn't speak well of our friendship that one of my favorite things of watching your channel is to watch things that scare you and make you scream, but, you know, there it is. All right, guys, I'm going to hop over to a little bit of tabletop lore, or tabletop news for this week. So we are going to pull up, boom, and, oh, right, it would help if I had the right screen open for us to jump to, right, guys? Okay. Space Messenger. There we go. Messenger. Done. It confused me because of the stream is starting screen, but that's because that is also sitting in my Messenger right now. All right, but we'll fix that eminently. All right, and you guys are watching me do all this live because I'm still somewhat new. I said go to Messenger. Okay, you know what? We're just going to work with it. Okay, if this is the screen that we're on, we'll find whatever screen this is. Okay. Boom. Okay, there we go. There we go. That's much better. All right, guys. Now, will it let me pull this over onto my second screen, or is it going to upset me? Nope, it is going to upset me. All right. Try this again. One more again. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning on the fly. I should have had this pulled up ahead of time, and I thought I did, but it took me just a minute. Oh, that's Art of the Week, Tabletop News. All right. So here we go. First bit of tabletop news. You guys know I enjoy airbrushing, and we've had a friend of the channel, Redbeard Boss, whose channel you can find in our link tree down in the description below. But Redbeard Boss has been a friend of the channel, has been on the channel before, and is someone who has run successful Kickstarters before with his Ghost Brushes series. And the Ghost Brushes, use them all the time. You know, they're his signature white bristled brushes. And not only does he make good brushes, often when he does one of these successful Kickstarters, once he gets his payout, he'll do things like donate to charity. A lot of the times, because he's so passionate about art, you know, he'll buy art supplies and donate them to schools, or buy, you know, and that kind of thing. Donating art supplies, donating to art programs, and just because he feels very strongly about, you know, his passion for art and how a lot of kids can benefit, especially when kids are younger, having their mind kind of opened up to that creative side, you know. And even as adults, I fully believe, one reason why I've embraced the hobby so much is because you can go look it up. There is so much research out there about how having a creative hobby is a great outlet for your emotions and, you know, your creativity. It can boost your mood and, you know, overall quality of life. And because he's done that, same kind of research, it's very important to him to always take his successful Kickstarters and give back to the community, you know, with his love of art. So anyways, he's brought you Ghost Brushes, Ghost Dry Brushes, Ghost Mini Brushes for those really detailed paintings. And now he is making his own airbrush. And I'm a big fan of the airbrush. I'm not an airbrush expert by any means, but I think I can achieve a pretty decent effect. And the fact that he is coming out with an airbrush. He's got lots of examples on his YouTube channel of him using the airbrush. You can see how it works and how it performs. I know the quality of his regular brushes have been very good, so I'm expecting good quality out of his airbrush, and what I've seen on his channel makes the brush look good so far. And I'm going to go ahead right now, for anyone interested, I'm going to go ahead and copy this link and come over to our chat. Boom, there's the Kickstarter link. In case you want to, in case anybody wants to check out that Kickstarter for the airbrush, there's the link. I highly recommend people check it out, because like I said, he has had good products before. It looks good so far on his channel, and I think it's going to be a quality product. I will also be getting this airbrush. Again, you guys know I love using the airbrush, and I'm going to make sure to do a review on my channel to let you guys know how much I like the airbrush. He says, your search for an airbrush is over. It has taken 5 years to bring you this premium quality airbrush. Every feature has been designed for a no-stress experience. I want the first-time airbrush user to fall in love with this artist tool the same way thousands of people have fallen in love with ghost paintbrushes from my 5 previous campaigns. So like I said, he sells a good product and his campaigns have been very successful before. Please join my community of over 8,000 Kickstarter backers and consider this new campaign. So it's got some examples of him using the airbrush. The first-time airbrush user shouldn't have to worry about anything but painting great models, and it's time to have fun again. Imagination, creativity, and simplicity are the goals. Just like all of my previous paintbrush campaigns, this will be the absolute best product I can offer at the best price. So that is another thing. He has previously, with the other brushes I backed before, not only, by the way, guys, I want to make sure that I'm letting you guys know I'm not sponsored in any way, right? I don't get free product. I don't get any money from Ghost Brushes. I just believe in his products. I use Ghost Brushes to paint all the time, and I'm very, very positive about his new product coming out. Yeah, so the focus of this product is simplicity and effectiveness. It's your time to experience the best airbrush for all the things miniature painters and hobbyists need. Now, one thing I will say from watching his videos of him using and actually cleaning the airbrush, there are some things that I'm liking so far. Nozzle, by the way, the nozzle is one of the easiest pieces in your airbrush to get clogged, and it can get clogged to an extent where it's just damaged and hard to clean and repair, especially if you're not cleaning it regularly. One of the cool things is that his nozzle isn't locked in place. It is floating at the front of the airbrush, so held in place by the nozzle tip, and so by the nozzle housing, and so yeah, you can unscrew that. The needle is just hovering there inside of the chamber, and I think that by itself, being able to remove that nozzle easily, clean it thoroughly without having to unscrew, break out your little hex wrenches, and the fact that you can pull the needle from the front, all of these things are going to make it easier to clean your airbrush, easier to prevent buildup and damage to your nozzle, just from my looking at it. Like I said, I will be getting an airbrush and reviewing it, but yeah, so far it looks like he's really put some thought into this and has an airbrush that's going to be worth picking up. We are going to Banhammer. I want the new Ghost airbrush. I am wanting it too, my friend. It definitely looks like a solid product so far. I know it can be so frustrating trying to find the right product. Every single choice I've made in this design is with the user in mind. I want to provide you with the perfect airbrush for your hobby. The overwhelming majority of users will never need another airbrush to reach their painting goals. That's a bold statement, saying we'll, after this one, we'll never need a another paintbrush again. Oh. I am so sorry. That is not... Can I I am so sorry. How do I unban someone? I shouldn't be given power. Ben, my man, I am so sorry. I saw the name Scamrack and I didn't realize that was you. I thought it was a scam bot, and I just went ahead and put down the ban hammer. I'm sorry about that. I will undelete your message. I'm sorry. I just saw the words and I made the incorrect assumption. Oh man, I am a jerk. I apologize for that. Guys, Ben Ellis is one of the best artists that I know. Extremely talented. And has been super generous and gracious to me in the past, having sent me a night that I showed off, did a showcase, an art showcase for in the past, and oh man, how do I, can I put this comment back? Hold on. Have it. Okay. Okay. This is Ben Ellis's original comment when I just abused my ban hammer power earlier. He said, "Are people in the States finding it hard to get a hold of some units? And if so, is it having much impact on people's gaming experiences?" I don't normally go straight for the newest units, so I wouldn't be able to tell you myself. However, I do know that it was hard to get a hold of, well, until going on eBay, it was hard at first to get a hold of like the Dark Angels Codex and the new box. But I don't normally just usually try and grab the newest units when they're available. A friend of mine was having trouble getting a hold of the Lion around Christmas time, but I mean, I think supply and demand around Christmas tends to make that happen. I have all the ghost brushes. I'm going to take that Harley Quinn Joker meme that says goals and replace it with Mythos and an airbrush. Oh, I love airbrushes, man. Ben, again, I'm so sorry. I glanced at your name. I really thought you were a bot. I'm so sorry. I do want to show out something I have shown on the live show before, but while I've got Ben here, I want people to see what amazing work Ben does. We're going to switch up to the tabletop view real quick. Guys, check out this gorgeous Titan head that Ben painted up and printed out, and would be perfect to customize like my own Warhound Titan. That is so cool. Absolutely beautiful painting. I really love the transitions. And I will have my own Titan someday. I think it's the size for a Warhound, for a Warlord Titan, he said, but I want a Warhound for sure. Oh, of course I still got it. The Knight I take all the time. The Knight I take as my Canis Rex that you sent. And I have yet to find a pickup game for my Space Wolves, but I cannot wait to use my Iron Priest that you made for me in a battle report. I have used this one though. I ran him as Crom Dragon Gaze as my last match that I played in December, and man, he put in some serious work as Crom Dragon Gaze. Nice to know you get some use for it. Absolutely. I always, when I can, I always prioritize your models when I can put them in a game because they're just so gorgeous looking. They are always centerpiece models whenever I take them. And man, Crom Dragon Gaze with a pack of 15 Blood Claws put in some serious work. So just wanted to show everyone some of the serious talent and crazy skills that Ben has. Freaking love. I think the my favorite thing on this one is just the multiple tones and shades of the red hair you've got, and then also that very cool, almost like it's metallic, but it's like done in a non-metallic fashion. Head on the axe. It just looks so good. So thank you so much, Ben. And yeah, everybody. I didn't realize that the name of Ben's channel is now Scam Rack, but definitely check him out. And also check him out as Ben Ellis on Instagram. Well, I got my Instagram up. I was just on the Instagrams earlier. But yeah, you can find some really awesome and amazing work from Ben on the Instagrams. That's some dice rolling for sure, but thanks for the kind words. Yeah, oh man. So I took a massive Units 15 because I always have just a good chunk of my blood claws get blown away before they reach their target. But by the time that they reached their target, they still were 9 left. And of course, I would always roll the hits for Crom and the Wolfguard Battle Leader first. And of course, they take out most everything. Really, the Blood Claws are there for, you know, additional wounds for the special characters. They're the delivery service. There is Ben's Instagram if you want to check him out. On the Iron Priest here, one thing I want to show you guys is this is a really, really delicate but cool kit bash here. If you look, it's the Omniscient Axe from the Tech Marine, or from the Iron Father, and it's on these Doc Octopus kind of tentacle arms, which I thought was really cool. But even though it looks very delicate, look, it's a solid piece. So yeah, it's a really awesome conversion. So I think the last idea I had for a list is when I was taking Crom and 15 Blood Claws. I think my next idea is I want to take the Iron Priest, and I want to take him with my Murder Fang, my Bjorn, and a couple of beefy dreadnoughts, and just move them up the field, all in a dreadnought murder team. I think that'd be really cool. All right, guys. So other things here. Reasons to get an airbrush, of course, he's got here listed: primer, base coats. Now, this is something not a lot of designers will do, is show you the full breakdown. But here's what I was telling you. You've got the nozzle cover here, and then you've got the actual nozzle here. So you just unscrew this. This part is not held in place, like it's floating at the tip here. And you can pull the needle straight forward. It's got a removable bowl here. There's the trigger setup. So there's just the cap. So it's a pretty intelligent, but not a super complicated design. 9 is still a great number though. Hopefully new units will announce near the end of the edition. 15 Blood Claws just sounds fun. It is fun. And at first, because they're just I've come to find that most of the time when I'm playing with people, most people's kind of underrate the firstborn units now. And when I'm using the firstborn units, sometimes the little surprises like that, like at first they shot at the more obvious targets instead of this big pack of Blood Claws moving up the field. And then by the time they get in and swarm, and Crom and the Wolfguard Battle Leader start going at it, and then of course on top of that you just get all the extra chainsword hits. I mean, they do a good bit of blending. The brush breakdown is great to see. Wonder what size needle the brush can take. That is a good question. Reliability, it says your new airbrush includes a 5mm nozzle for less clogging. Back end has a trigger lock, so you can set and control your spray pattern. Very nice. It would be, since it comes with a 5mm nozzle, and it looks like because the tip is easy to remove, if he comes out with I wonder if he'll come out with a set to change sizes later on, since I think you just have to change the needle and nozzle here, and then theoretically, boom, you could swap down to say a 3mm or a 2.5. Varnishing by airbrush. You know, it's funny. I think AK's Ultramatte varnish is still my favorite. Although if I'm doing a really big project like a vehicle, or if I've got like just a big squad to varnish all at once, admittedly sometimes I still will prefer to just rattle can. Just because sometimes with those bigger projects it's just, you know, less fuss. Super secret special effects, of course. I do love doing special effects such as panel modulation, power sword effects, all that good stuff with the airbrush. So I gotta agree with him there. Control. I do love that for a small looking compressor here, the fact that it is adjustable and you can, you know, you've got a clear indication of the levels of pressure that you're using. It seems, you know, like it'll be pretty neat to work with. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that out. I do, and I might have just missed it. You know, I've been I might have missed it, but I wonder what size hoses it uses. Like, I know that if I try to use a Badger airbrush with my Iwata compressor here, I need to use an adapter. So I wonder what kind of size hoses he'll be using for his. If you could swap that out, that would be nice. Yeah, that would be cool if he did some like extra sizes you could, you know, swap that out with in the future. Rattle can varnish is still nice. Yes, sometimes it's just quick and easy. Some additional add-ons, of course. Ghost dry brushes. We've shown those on the show before. Like those. Use those. He's got a texture tool. I gotta say, I love my little Games Workshop plastic one. But yeah, texture tools are always nice. There was... Oh, support. I was about to say, there were prices that I was looking at before. Maybe if I could go to the back of this project. That's what I wanted to show you. Okay, here we go. All right. So you can pledge just $20. I don't airbrush, but you can still get his new hand brushes here. For $35, that is inexpensive for an airbrush. For just $35 US, you can get the brush itself. No compressor. Or you can get you the full kit, airbrush, compressor, hoses, all that good stuff, for $75. I think $35 is a steal to get a good airbrush. So that is interesting. I am interested in this little compressor though. Double airbrush kits. I don't know why you would need to akimbo airbrushes, but maybe if you were getting an airbrush, you know, with someone else, you wanted a backup. Maybe if you do a high volume and you go through airbrushes pretty often, or if you and someone else wanted to split the double, $75 US for that is amazing. Yeah, it is quite a steal. $300 for a retailer set, and then $500 for retail and display pledge. So, I mean, this is, of course, where I think the most of us are going to look at. $35 for the airbrush, which is, like I said, super inexpensive. $75 for a full kit. That's pretty good. I mean, that is honestly like really good, especially if you never, you know, if you don't own any airbrushing equipment. It's a great price point to get in. And like I said, so far from what I've seen, you know, watching his demonstrations, looking at the components, and some of the thought process behind the build, it seems like really a good deal. So I definitely recommend. Like I said, the link is there in the chat, and you can just check him out if you want to go look it up for yourself. Airbrush for painting miniatures, Sleepwalker Air on Kickstarter. So yeah, he went for standard. See, I don't know what standard is. Is standard more Badger size or Iwata size? All right. Next thing we're going to look at is the thumbnail feature. Also, I just realized it's like super early for you, Ben. You doing okay? You are up really, really early in the morning. We got some Horus Heresy stuff here. And as someone who loves Imperial Guard, it is super cool to see some of the Solar Auxilia models getting some love here. I freaking love their little mini Sentinels here. It's funny because, like, the AdMech version of this, they call them chicken walkers. And I think this really stripped down version of the Sentinel really gives that chicken walker kind of feel. It's 3:30 a.m. here. Oh man, well, I hope whatever's got you up this ridiculously early or late, if you haven't been to bed yet, I hope everything is going well, my friend. But yeah, some really cool options, looking options here. But I was thinking that, these, I don't have, like, I have big beefy Sentinels. And I don't have any like smaller ones that would be good to use as scout sentinels. This would almost maybe be, honestly, I could, they make 40k scout sentinels. I could just buy those instead of, going the Horus Heresy route. But this looks so cool. And I also have always just loved the Solar Auxiliary armor pattern. It's got like the heavier duty helmet and rebreather kind of thing going on. Because it's got the rebreather too, I wonder if they could like, ride these out like a containment suit, right out into like a, non-oxygenated environments and just riding these chicken walkers. All right, the Hermes Light Sentinel, a true machine that carries potent weapons across the battlefield faster than a charging Charnite Ogren. Charnite Ogren? It might look like it's missing a few armor panels, but the stripped-down appearance is all in service to its speed and maneuverability. This light and effective Sentinel is a favorite for striking exposed enemy flanks, isolated command units, then melting back into cover before significant resistance can muster. They're in, they're out, they're in, they're out. Sorry, Scout Sentinels. It seems appropriate. They do look definitely like a scouty kind of thing. The way they talk about this light cavalry here, and talk about it like light cavalry, kind of reminds me of like in the military, where you have tank on tank action, but then sometimes you have lighter machines like your Jeeps and stuff like that can take anti-tank firepower, and their job is to just outspeed and take pop shots and leave. It kind of reminds me of that kind of feel. They're typically equipped with multi-laser for a deadly anti-infantry punch, but it can swap for heavier Hermes grenade launcher that trades range for versatility. A volley of high-powered crack grenades can even threaten armored tanks once the Light Sentinel darts around to their vulnerable sides and rear. That's right, because it's for the Horus Heresy, where they still have armor facing and armor values. The Hermes has a heavier armored, more aggressive sub-pattern for the elite Velitaris sections, though a touch slower thanks to its additional armor. The Incursus pattern of Hermes Light Sentinel packs even more fearsome arsenal to make use of the Velitaris driver's superior skills. The Sentinels are safe enough to... I do like the additional armor padding here. Like, this does look cool, but I think, having some of the extra plate there around might be a little more helpful. These Sentinels are safe to support the vicious frontal assaults that the Velitaris are famous for, and hairy, fast-moving Legion Astaris units who could sweep away lighter Sentinel squadrons. Their searing Voltite Cavaliers can be swapped for heavy flamers for close-range breakthrough actions. Flamers look cool. I've never really liked them in the game. I just feel like they don't do a whole lot. My last game with Atlas and I had a game a few weeks ago. I did take a full 6 aggressors with Flamestorm gauntlets and drop them in using the Salamander style Strength 6 flamers. And I did manage to burn away almost all of a squad of 20 very durable Kriegers. But I think that was a very specific situation, you know, T3 infantry with Strength 6 flamers. You know, and even though it didn't have any AP, it managed to eat through a lot of wounds. But I think that was a very specific situation. A lot of times I don't feel like flamers perform very well. So I would probably more go for the Volkite or the grenade launcher here myself. But I just think they do look cool. We know what you're thinking. With a war machine as awesome as this, how could you stop at just one? Luckily, the Hermes Light Sentinel kits includes 2 models, both of which can be assembled as either variant. With up to 6 in each unit, you can fill out a hard-hitting, fast attack, or elite slot. That's pretty awesome. I still have yet to use flamers on mass, but it sounds fun with the mass dice. Oh man, I rolled so many dice for 6 aggressors on that infantry squad, and even then it was like the medic and the Krieg Marshal were still alive at the end, but then I made my charge and oh, it was just a mess. It was just a mess, especially since it was 6 aggressors led by Marnius Calgar and his 2 Blade Guard bodyguards, the Vicatrix guards. Okay, so those Sentinels look really cool. I don't know. I would definitely be tempted to take them as Scout Sentinels. I know a lot of people have been super hyped for the Kroot coming out with their own force now. Reveal the hounds. We've caught the scent of new Kroot hounds. I have a few friends that have been waiting on the Kroot hounds to be redone. Off topic, but are you getting your background music from Epidemic Sounds? It sounds familiar, like I'm sure I've used it. This is from the YouTube library of royalty-free music. This particular one is called Beat Your Competition. Both of my, this one and the intro song are both from the YouTube royalty-free library. This one's called Beat Your Competition, and the intro one is called Invisible Vibe Tracks. The Kroot Hounds. So I'm not a huge Tau fan, but I gotta say, the hounds look so cool. I liked their original design, but these look even cooler, I think. Something about the way the shape of their jaw is, you know. And honestly, even though I know these are Tau, the way, you know, well, Tau auxiliary, you know, these are for the Kroot. The way they're painted in different various shades of green just really gives me orc vibes. Like I almost want to, you know, paint them up and use them as rot somewhere or something like that. Or something else. I want to put them with orcs for some reason, just because the way they look so good in green skin. Okay, here we go. You didn't really think we'd leave the loyal hounds behind, did you? This pack of Kroot hounds have slipped their collars to tear across the battlefield, snapping their beak-like jaws and shredding unfortunate prey with razor-sharp teeth, with razor-sharp claws. We last saw them join the Farstalker Kinband kill team, and now the rest of the pack have the same glow-up, just without the snazzy leather harnesses. Hunting packs of Kroot hounds are unleashed to savage exposed flanks and chase down fleeing foes, driven into a frenzy by the scent of their blood. Their incredible speed can punch through enemy lines to catch vulnerable targets, especially when goaded by an attendant squad of Kroot carnivores. Again, I'm not a big Tau fan, but these models just look good. If it makes you feel better, you can just you can always shout "War!" I'm not playing Tau. I'm not playing Tau. Oh man, these new models look great. I really love the beak jaw things that they have. It really gives them just a really cool look. And of course, their quills or whatever is on their back. This is going to be another one of those things that I want to buy and paint and not know what I would do with it in game. And I have way too many models that I would to just buy it and paint it for no reason. But I kind of want to. At the start of your command phase, if this unit is within 6 inches of one or more friendly crew infantry units, then until the end of the turn, this unit is eligible to declare a charge and turn it advanced. Oh man, advance the charge is such a good ability. I don't know if these guys will be any good. I don't know if they're like, going to have a... Usually, these kind of like hound models don't have very good damage output. But, like I own, I think, 15 or 20 different Fenrisian wolf models, but I can never justify putting them all on the board because... very many of them on the board, just because they're great for like secondaries and stuff, but they're just not that good. When this character is within 12 inches of one or more friendly crew characters, they get OBSEC 1. That is something I thought was really cool because, like I said, I love Fenrisian wolves, but they can't hold objectives. Being able to get objective control 1 from a character here sounds really neat. Oh, guys. Oh, you know what? I have some Tau that I need to paint up for Roxas. And he might just get some Kroot Hounds in his army that he never asked for. Just because I want to paint them. I think those look really cool. I definitely, because I've seen Brother Hellchild paint up some Fenrisian wolves before. And I know he is a lover of all things Kroot. I can't wait to see what Brother Hellchild does with these. Huh? What was that? Nothing? Man, I know you're all about the sci-fi components of the Tau, but I think your Tau might end up getting some Kroot Hounds just because I want to paint them. Where did these come from? I don't know. Okay. Now we're going to pretend that I didn't just get excited to buy something in the Tau army. We've got some orky goodness here. So, of course, this is some of the book club goodness here. And we can see some really great orc books. I have this one, thanks to Brother Ravensrook, and I do love some orky goodness. I may have to get more of these orc books. I did mention earlier in the stream that it's dangerous whenever I start reading books, because then I start new armies. The Red Gobbo, I've heard those stories are fun. I've never read any of them myself. But this one, the Big Daka. So we have a new Warboss coming out. A Black Library model. We've got the Big Daka here. And that model shows up in this form here. And I would love to know everyone's thoughts about the new model. It looks pretty cool. If we take a look at its stats, move 6 inches, toughness 5, save 4+ with the 5+ invul. So he's a little bit tougher than some Warbosses. 6 wounds, 6 leadership, objective control 1. This big piece of Daka here is a shock rifle. So 1 attack, hitting on 4s. Hey, hitting on 4 for an orc is really good. I think most Warbosses, even with like their rockets and stuff like that. Big Daka Sussy Baka. I think most Warbosses still hit on 5, so having one that hits on 4s with this nice big piece of Daka is cool. It is strength 8, -2 AP, D6 +1. I think D6 +1 is always so good because it makes something of an unreliable shot so much more reliable. I can't tell you how many times I've rolled for D6 damage and hit a 1. And it's like, oh, I wish I could re-roll that, but been out of CP or something like that. So even if you roll the worst, you're still getting a good 2 damage out of that. I like that. I like that a lot. I have been wanting to get a big mech with the gosh, what's it called? The blaster that launches goblins out of it. But yeah, having one like that, one of these guys back here sitting with, you know, something that could be charging in. I wonder what he could be attached to as well. But yeah, having this guy just seems like it'd be a cool bit of DACA. I don't even play. I play Goths. I don't play Bad Moons, but he just seems like a really cool character. But yeah, that D6+1 could be really good. The Princess's Jaws. I assume that the princess there is the squig he's using as a to balance his shots there. It gets 2 attacks, so it can bite him twice. Hits on 4+, strength 4, no AP, 1 damage. Just a couple extra bites from the little ankle biter there. And the Snaz Hammer. I like that, Snaz Hammer. 4 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 10. Oh yes. Oh. AP2, 2 damage. I like it. I'm a big sucker for Black Library models. I think I want this guy. Epic hero that he can go with boys and knobs. Ooh. Ooh. Send this guy in with some knobs. It sounds, you know, if you don't know that I'm talking about orcs, that just sounds extra. Ooh, send him in with some knobs, if you know what I mean. More is always nice, plus hitting on 3s is nice with the hammer. 4+ shooting is nice, especially with the scope mounted on it. Shock attack gun, that's what I was looking for. Shock attack gun. Thank you so much. Teleporter tech. When this model's leading unit, models have the deep strike ability. Oh, okay, that sounds nice, being able to deep strike in some knobs. Each time this model makes an attack that targets a Titanic unit, you can re-roll the hit and you can re-roll the wound. Oh, that is not going to happen very often. But I mean, I guess the few times it comes up, you'll be happy for it then. Okay, well, I mean, you know, that one aside, being able to just teleport in a unit of knobs or boys is very cool. In fact, that is what a lot of us always took a weird boy for, was to just use the jump, or as I like to say, the yeet, to yeet your boys across the screen, across the battlefield. And yeah, so getting that with teleporter tech is pretty awesome. So even if giant or Gargant Smash never comes up, teleporter is going to be good. And he's got some good DACA and some awesome melee, you know, to make him worth leading those models. And deep striking in with that shock rifle is going to be nice too. So even if he doesn't make his charge anymore, I mean, the fact that you could call a wah, deep strike, then you could get your reroll charges, shoot with that badass cannon there, and then hopefully get in some of those strength 10 attacks. I think it could be quite tasty. Okay, switching back over so we can look at the model itself. I love this hammer. Really, the design of this hammer, this Snaz hammer, kind of reminds me of the Brute hammer from Halo. Again, the topic comes back up, but just the way that the head of the hammer here is, that's the part that really reminds me of the Brute hammer. And then this shock rifle just looks awesome. I love that it's being stabilized, sitting on the squig's head. Like old still. That's cool. I definitely like this guy. And I want him. Like I said, I don't even play Bad Moons, but I want him. He looks cool. He looks cool. And as such, again, there's a side profile. Look, even that back end, okay, where like the back end of the hammer kind of looks like a little bit of a bill hook. Even that part reminds me of a Brute hammer. This front part, the back part, the little energy thing underneath, all of this reminds me of a Brute hammer. just a one-handed brute hammer. That is so cool. All right, what else we got? All right, our last article of the night. We have got Bring Down the House with the Siegebreaker console. So we've got a new Horus Heresy. One thing I think is really cool about this is this little detail here on this data pad. So before official models came out with it, one of the cool things, I saw lots of people printing or buying printed to paint up, was this display table with these like 3D holograms on it. It was like a stratagem table, and it had the whole hologram of these different buildings and stuff like that. And people, of course, would put it around like captain models and stuff like that, like they're planning out their assault of a city or something like that. And I think being able to get those same kind of like details here on this data pad he's holding is really cool. It's like he's also got like a little 3D map, you know, on his data pad here, and helping plan out, you know, an attack here. I assume that's what it is. That's so, like, visually, that's what it reminds me of, is those little tables that used to have like the hologram displays. So let's find out about this guy. I love the big two-handed hammer, by the way. Space Marines are versed in many forms of warfare, scouting ahead of battle lines and sniping crucial targets, racing to exploit the unguarded flanks on the foe on gravity-defying jet bikes, or using roaring jump packs to smash headfirst in melee, and now bringing down buildings and hard targets with surgical precision. Siegebreaker consoles are experts at rapid deconstruction initiatives based on precise applications of extreme explosive force. In other words, they blow shit up. These consoles use their encyclopedic knowledge of demolition to help their allies bring down defensive structures and efficiently destroy armored vehicles. Oh yes, we got a demolitions expert. Clad in thick plates of customized artificer armor, as if to mock the very reinforced structures and vehicles he instructs his brothers to destroy, the Siegebreaker is equipped with a mighty thunderhammer and the obligatory set of phosphex bombs. Got to have his own bombs if he's going to be their demolition expert, right? His terminal is presumably loaded with reams of data on structural weaknesses and the best places to focus anti-tank fire to slice through armored holes. It even has the holographic display. Okay, called it. I recognized it. I mean, it's pretty obvious what it is, but I'm still going to take, you know, credit there. Because the deafening bombardments he directs sadly prevents lengthy lectures on the best methods of laying siege. That's understandable. No one's listening. I'm just going to tap these buttons. They'll know where to go. Kudos to the painter, by the way, who painted in, looks like freehand, this badass screen here, because it looks legit. Like, you know, like if you were playing a video game of Warhammer, you'd expect to see these kind of details on the screen there. So yeah, that is like kudos to the artist who painted that. That is, I've seen people paint up some insane displays on, you know, like the screens inside of their bike models, or their vehicles and stuff like that, their jet fighters. That is definitely, I have no freehand talent, and that is beyond my ability, but it is so cool to see because they've made it look so good. I agree, brother Ben. This is an expert miniature made from Forge World resin, coming with 2 choices of heads. We'll have more news on when he's released in the near future. Nice. It is a very cool model. Again, I love the design of this data pad here. The hammer looks cool. You know, while theoretically, you know, this big antenna is because he's sending out information, you know, like a, communications officer. I do expect the way it's positioned there, that'll be the first thing, especially being Forge World resin. I expect that'll be the first thing to snap off on this bottle. Needs a beard and a pelt. Ah, you're going to give your wolves a demolition expert, my brother? That'd be cool. I could definitely see a demolitions expert in the Iron Wolves. But yeah, this is a really cool looking miniature. I do love, because there's no Forge World tags on anything anymore, right? They've consolidated all that. So I do like that they mentioned here, this is an expert miniature made from Forge World resin. So that's how they differentiate. This is an expert miniature. But it is a cool looking model. I've never been a big fan of the models that have like the tube going up the nose. A little weird. Although the rest of the head, interestingly, there's an old TV show called Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future, which is basically, or vaguely, what I base my color scheme on for my Custodes. And anyways, the main bad guy, whose name escapes me right now, his head really looks like the main bad guy from Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. Guys, if you have any fond memories of Captain Power, if you ever heard of it or watched it as a kid, let me know down in the comments below, because that is a very fond memory for me. They had these cool things where when the show would come on, there would be like parts of the screen where like enemy targets would be, or enemy fire would be, where there would be like special lighting on those parts of the screen. And you would have these jets that you could fly in front of your TV screen following along the show. And you could shoot at the enemy whenever those parts of the lit up parts of that target would show up on the screen. You could shoot at them. They could shoot at you. Again, it would be like specially colored, special kind of lighting. And if you didn't move your jet out of the way, it would take damage, and actually shake, shake your little jet. And your jet would make a boom sound, like it just took a damage. It sounded a lot like taking damage to a Star Trek shield. And yeah, it was very, very neat. It was like a video game that you could watch on cable TV or VHS. It was so cool. And if your jet fighter took enough damage, it would actually eject the pilot out of the front of the jet. It was cool. You could probably put a Mark II or Mark III head on it and still look good. Oh, absolutely. Unless, like, for me, I like beaky heads on Raven Guard, but that's really it. I prefer Mark II, Mark III. The beakies are like some of my least favorite heads outside of Raven Guard. But that's just my aesthetic choice. So those are all of our articles. So last, and I'm not going to keep you guys too late tonight, but there's one topic I want to bring up. And actually, I want to do a talking point video on this topic. So, any feedback you guys have, I would love to have your thoughts on. And I'm just going to put down a couple of my Ultramarines. That one's... because that's what prompted the discussion, right? Actually, this one is a good example of what we're about to talk about. Paint brand loyalty. So we're going to go down to Tabletown. All right. So, and of course, this is still very early stages. All I've done is the airbrushing, the base coating, the highlighting, and the shadows. So, this starts with a little bit of a story time. I apologize. I feel like some people might have checked out as soon as I said story time. But no, Brother Atlas and I, last week, we went to the game shop, had a great match, my Ultramarines versus his Imperial Guard. And first of all, I'd like to say, for someone who says he's not a very good painter, he puts down his paintwork all the time. One of the people came right up to the table, passed me up, and looked at his Imperial Guard and told Atlas what a great job and how cool his Imperial Guard look. It took a particular shine to his Hellhounds that he had made, because he had printed, or he had cast the front of the body from like the front of a Chimera, but the back end of the Hellhound, the big fuel tank at the back, he actually made himself from a PVC pipe and a pipe cap at the end. And yeah, once he finished his convert, it looks legit. I had no idea. In fact, one of the things that makes it look so legit is there's like lettering stamped at the end of the fuel tank at the back of the Hellhound. And I never noticed till he pointed it out, but the lettering on the back is lettering for the pipe company that makes those PVC pipes. But having just seen it on his model and the way he dry brushed it up, with metallics to make it look like worn old metal, I thought they were just like legit part of, like whatever the model was. I had no idea that it was just a PVC pipe. Anyways, saying all that to say, he got a compliment on his army and how good that his Hellhounds look. And I tell him all the time, he's a great hobbyist, but he's like, my painting is trash. And admittedly, that's his least favorite part of the hobby is the painting. But he has gotten so, his army legit looks good. He's improved so much in the hobby over the years that I've known him. But I did get 3 people come up and compliment my Ultramarines army, which I felt really good about. And Ultramarine players get a lot of crap just for playing the poster boys. Yes, I was getting there. Oh, you're still here, my brother. I love the imagination people bring to the hobby. Exactly. I used to build straight out of the box when I first got in the hobby, but now like customization is one of my favorite things to do. Hence, this big ass Grey Knight sword on my Ultramarine here. As customization and creativity, adding that bit of creativity and bit of your personality just makes it so much more interesting, I think. But yes, I did have 3 people come admire my work as well, and all 3 of them asked me for my recipe on how I painted my Ultramarines blue. They said, your blue doesn't look like any other Ultramarines army I've seen before. I said, it's a simple recipe actually. It's just a 3-color recipe. So I told them I start with my mid-tone blue, which is, the basic McCrag blue. They're like, yeah, that's usually what I see on everybody's stuff. And then apparently I get paint all over my hands. And then I said I then always add in my shades with a very purpley blue called Imperial Blue from Vallejo, which has so much paint on the label that you really couldn't read it because I'm a messy painter. And then I always highlight up with Pro Acryl, Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl Blue. And one thing that really kind of surprised me that all 3 of them said, because it was I was honestly back to back to back. Basically the same process for redoing my hair every time. You look good with the blue hair, my brother. I'm glad you decided to keep it. But one thing that struck me is kind of funny because it was like almost as if somebody gave them a script to say, right? Because they responded the same way every time. What they said was, oh, wow. So you just use any paint brand. Yeah, they seemed surprised that I would mix the 3 different brands, Citadel Blue, a blue from Vallejo, and then Monument Hobbies. They were surprised that I was mixing these brands of paint, and all 3 of them said, oh, they thought it was weird because they felt it was normal to just pick one brand of paint and stick with it. And one of them even said that they were in the process of switching all of their paints over from Citadel to Vallejo, but that the mixing and matching just never occurred to them. So they were like, okay, I use all Citadel now, and now I think I like Vallejo better, so I must go all Vallejo. And that just struck me out as interesting because for me, and I'm sure like a lot of us here on YouTube, those of us who are on the YouTube thing, we share a lot of techniques and recipes, and we have similar thoughts on some things. But for me, the like the brand never even factored into me to me, because what I was looking at is what are the exact tones that I wanted, right? So for my shade, I really wanted this kind of purpley tone here to be my shadow. And then this blue, I always think of McCrag blue as kind of a flat blue. Like there's not a lot of depth to the color, which I think makes a great mid-tone. And it's a very neutral blue right there in the middle. Happy freaking Friday, X-Gear, my man. And then, like, for me, I just love, like, my previous favorite blue was... Do I still have some? I think I'm out, actually. No, here we go. My previous favorite blue ever was Caldor Sky. But then very similar in tone, but just a little more brightness, a little more saturation is this Pro-Acryl blue. But very similar. And so that's what I'm looking at when I decide what paint I'm going to use. Is like brand very seldom occurs to me, you know, when I'm picking out what I'm going to be painting with. It's the tone of what I'm using, the actual color. You mean some people use only one brand? I know, right? Admittedly, I got to this place because I am very, squirrel, right? You know, very shiny. And so, like, you know, I just grab paints as I see them and enjoy them. But, you know, in the process of doing that, I do a lot of experimenting. And when I experiment, I obviously find favorites, you know, and it's those colors that come to mind. And I really would like to get your guys' input on what your guys' thought process when you're painting. And I admit, especially, that there are caveats out there, right? Like, there are certain brands you sometimes don't mix with others because of the finish or reaction that they might have with another one. For instance, there are some paints there, I believe it was Watercolors that was told to me, that use a gel medium and doesn't react the same way as with your other paints. And so it can be sometimes not good to mix those. And, I got nothing in front of the screen. You're just looking at the pale inside of my arm there. There we go. And so, yeah. And so I'm picking out tones I want to use. I lost my point. Oh yeah, I'm looking for your input though. I know that some paints don't mix well with others. Sort of on topic, Sonny was looking for cheaper, easy intro paints. Okay. Well, I can definitely hook him up with some of them. And some ones that are easy to get into. Personally, and this is just me, of course, maybe it's because, you know, it's my ADD and I'm just like, squirrel. But for me, like picking out a couple of colors that you want to use, and maybe 2 or 3 that you want to use at first. Like in his case, I know I'm painting Necrons. I want silver and black and, you know, maybe a wash color or a energy color like the green. You know, those would be things I'd be looking at first. And then after that, I just like nickel and dime my way through a paint set if I'm painting on a budget, which I usually am. And so that's the way I find my cheaper paints, is I just nickel and dime it, right? One pot of paint this week, one pot. In fact, that's what I still do that now. Like this past week I got in, or this past paycheck I got in, you know, a fluorescent yellow from Golden, because I'm expanding my golds. And then this present week, because I wanted to do the windshield on that Warthog I was showing off earlier, I was considering doing a orange glass for the windshield on the Warthog, and so I ordered Golden's fluorescent orange. So yeah, and that's another brand right there, you know. But that's, again, because I'm doing fluorescence, it's about what tone do I want, you know. P3, Vallejo, Army Painter, Pro-Acryl, heavy pigment artist paints. Those are all very good. Don't mix watercolors with other paints. That's another one. Another one I hear that is sometimes not good to mix unless you know what you're doing is the scale 75s, because of their ultra matte finish. Sometimes don't work super well with other ones. What some people do to get around that, I've heard, is that because they know when they switch to the the scale 75s. Good night, Ben. I was so good having you here in the chat. I'm sorry I banned you at first. I'm so sorry about that, but it was great having you here on the show. And yeah, talk to you later, brother. Have a great night. Finally get some rest. But yeah, so scale 75s, because they do paint on with such an ultra matte finish, some people will go out of their way to actually matte down whatever they're going to use, or whatever their model is, before they paint on with scale 75. I haven't messed around with it too much myself, but I have noticed a difference, and sometimes it doesn't look right when I'm mixing the scale 75 stuff with the others until at the end when I matte it all down. But yeah, it can. So there are some things where chemically, right, the watercolors and their gel medium, the scale 75s with their ultra matte finish, there are some paints that maybe are trickier to work with, in mixing them with other stuff. But I think part of that is also just kind of learning how each paint handles, right? So like, once you get used to the ultra matte finish of scale 75, it's no problem. I've heard there's a learning curve to it, but once you know the trick, you're good. The watercolors, of course, because they do have that different medium, obviously, there are ways that I've seen other people who paint with the watercolors mix it into whatever other project they're doing, and they've found their ways to make them look good too. But in general, I don't ever see why the brand of a paint should ever be anything that holds me back from the specific color or look that I'm getting, that I want to get to. But yeah, if you guys have any thoughts on it, if there's any paints that you'd recommend not mixing brands for, or even brands you do recommend mixing together, let me know down in the comments below, especially if you're watching from the archive or if you're watching along with me right now. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I know some people who say that they exclusively use the GW Gray Sear and Wraithbone because they say that they feel like it reacts better with contrast and speed paints. But then I know some people that say, hey, they just pick up, whatever's lying around. In some cases, I'll even take Apple Barrel, acrylic paints that are not model grade or quality. If I know that it's something that's going to be textured anyways, I can thin it down to whatever consistency I want. But basically, I just want to get on that light color to put contrast on over. Often it's no big deal for me. Specifically here, I've got antique white. It's a very yellowy white, and often it's a great base for me to put down when I'm going to be doing a leather or some different bone color like skulls. Before I put a wash or contrast over them, because yeah, it's just the tone I'm looking for. I mean, admittedly, Apple Barrel are very thick artist paints. A lot of people use them more for terrain or anything like that. It's not usually made with models because of the thickness of these paints. I mean, you can just take oh yeah, there we go. It's a very thick consistency. It looks almost like a pudding cup there, right? But if you thin it out, you know what you're doing. I think it's all just learning curves and learning to use the tools that you have. So again, that's why it really struck me as odd when someone mentioned, they thought it was weird to me mixing different brands of paints. But I'm interested in what you guys have to say. I'm talking in circles now. But if you have any reasons why you feel uncomfortable mixing brands of paints, let me know down in the comments below. And like Hellchild did here, let me know which paints you do enjoy mixing together. I'm kind of the same thing. P3, Vallejo, Army Painter, I only really use their speed paints and their washes, admittedly. I'm interested to try their new Fanatic line. Titanium white heavy pigments art paint will really brighten up most ranges. Yes, and I think along those same lines, I think that's one reason why a lot of people love the Monument bold titanium white as well. But anyways, as I got my thoughts together there, I really went on a ramble there, talking in circles and stuff like that. I apologize if I wasn't very concise. But yeah, my brain was just... blah, 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 blah. Just, I was trying to make it make sense in my head, and you guys know how sometimes you're trying to make something make sense and articulate it, and it is just not coming out with the right words, right? So, anyways, so that's my thoughts on the matter. Is, to me, unless there's something specifically holding you back, like a chemical property, or something that you feel like affects the way you paint, I don't feel like brands should hold you back from painting with whatever colors, tones. But if you find a brand that you're just comfortable with, comfort is a great part of, especially if you're painting to relax, find your comfort zones by all means. But, don't be afraid to experiment and get out there, try new colors, and find those specific colors or paints that you're looking for. That's what I was trying to say. That is my closing thoughts for the night, guys. I really enjoyed this stream here tonight. I really appreciate how much participation you all gave tonight. So we had some really great discussions here. Lots of news, I'm closing down the shop, and I haven't gone through Art of the Week yet. I need a sip of coffee. Oh my goodness. There's still plenty of time. How about, did I miss Art of the Week? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I missed Art of the Week. All right. You know what? Let's go to Art of the... Wait, let me pull it up, and then we'll go to it. All right. Boop, boop. All right, got it pulled up on my other screen here. And now we switch to the Art of the Week. Hey! By the way, that transition went much smoother than when I first tried to switch to the articles. That was much better. Ooh, squirrels! Man, damn squirrels ran you across the state. Yes, sir. All right, let's look at some Art of the Week, guys. I'm going to pull up my side screen. Oh, no, I closed out my side screen. I want to be able to keep an eye on the chat while I do Art of the Week, so we're just going to take a quick second. There we go. Pulling up my other screen. We're going to make sure it's muted this time. Okay. Pay no mind to the double. There you go. All right. So first up, we have a brother Who Took My Dice. You can find Who Took My Dice Miniature Wargaming in the Friends of the Frost and Fist link down below. But this is the stuff brother Steve submitted. Okay, we've got his Chaos Lord here. This is the really old school Chaos Lord too. I want to say this is the one from. I believe this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say this is the one from the Dark Angels versus Chaos box. What is that? Dark Vengeance? Yes, I got it right. But yes, I've always loved this model. It's a cool looking model. So very, very cool. Love the way it came out. Great job, Steve. It's from the back. It's got his red cloak. Got the details picked out on the fur and the spine. Very cool. Got all the energy, the green energy there. Very chaosy, and with his band of chaos that he painted up for the mini War Mutts painting challenge in January. And he said that this was he was following a tutorial for doing this kind of chaos black, where it was like black armor with dry brushed up with some grays, and then I want to say washed back down. I'm very forgetful, but I believe that's what he was saying. He was following a tutorial for it. Pretty cool. And then you can even see, so he's got some loyalist bits here, but then he's also got like some of the mutations coming on from some of the, I want to say the possessed bits. So he's got some mutations from where they're falling to chaos, and then of course some loyalty stuff Maybe they've picked up some of the gear along the way. Maybe they were ones that turned traitors and joined the Black Legion. You know, there's so much narrative opportunity here, but very cool. So great job with your Chaos boys. I was thinking, I've never had a Chaos army before. I was thinking that, because one thing Atlas and I were talking about is, you know, trying to get some more battle reports on the channel. And because I have so many armies here, and, you know, I've got a table that I could play on now, is, you know, because I want to get back into battle report filming, when we can't make time for, you know, me to get together with someone else to do battle reports, I could really do solo battle reports now because I have multiple armies, I've got a space to do it, you know. And I was thinking if I ever introduced a Chaos Force on the channel, I guess the interest is peaking because I'm using the, you know, I told you I bought the Dark Angels Codex earlier. And I was like, man, what if I took, because of the new lore where the Lion is going around redeeming some of the fallen and bringing them into his inner circle, what about the flip side of that? What if I did a Chaos army that was just all fallen Dark Angels? And so they'd be in their traditional old school black and red colors from 30K, maybe doing something to kind of chaos them up along the way. You know, even using, like, you know, like Steve has here, you know, chaos bits, helmets, and stuff like that, you know. All as they've gone, you know, these last 10,000 years being all fallen, you know. Maybe that would be a cool way to do, yeah, Chaos Army. I don't need a 4th Space Marine Army, or 5th, or whatever I'm on now. But the idea is cool. So if I ever decide to do, you know, Chaos, that might be something I look into, is doing some Dark Angels Fallen. And not just because of the meme about Chaos, or Dark Angels being Chaos. Ooh, I like this side shot too. Good profile shot. This was a really good angle here, Brother Steve, because I really like how you get a good full view of the sword, the pistol coming out to, you know, just blast the foe in the face. All Fallen would be cool, but Night Lords or World Eaters are better. See, I painted Night Lords before, and that was one of my biggest commissions I've ever painted before, so I really don't have an inclination to paint any Night Lords anymore. World Eaters could be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I've always thought visually I'd like to paint up some Alpha Legion, because their kind of, you know, iridescent blue-green armor would just be a real, color-wise, a treat to paint. But could I keep myself motivated? Because I really dislike their books. I find their books so boring. Except for the one Alpha Legion book I did enjoy is when they attacked, you know, a squad of them attacked Terra itself, and, you know, there was Rogel Dorn fighting a bunch of them, and eventually, allegedly, Alfarius or Omegon, one of the two, murderized one of them at the end of that novel. That was really cool. Not just because, you know, the Alpha Legion got killed and, you know, Dorn made short work of them, but also just in general, I enjoyed that book. I want to say that one was the Praetorian of Dorn. I might just be making up book titles here. I don't know. But it was a good book. And we've got the last models he painted. No, first? The first models he painted for the Mini War Much Challenge was his Ultramarines Reavers. And it is good seeing some fellow boys in blue. But yeah, so I think the Reavers came out looking really good. You know, I usually see people with the brown leather for the Primaris Marines leather pouches and stuff like that, but I really think the black leather looks really good here. Love the face really came out looking good. Yeah, just really great work on these in general. I think Reavers are such cool looking models. It is almost disheartening how bad of models that they are in game, because they look so good. We've got Brother Wybird. His art of the week is his beautiful toe beans. He's kidding. I love how she is just like investigating the camera there. All right, everybody take a moment. Okay. Zoom in on your screen. Everybody boop the snoot right now. 3, 2, 1. And boop the snoot. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. And that's her actual name, Toe Beans. We've got Warpgate Studios. Check out these badass spider boys he painted up. I have such a love-hate relationship with spiders. Lily says, the snoot has been booped. I think spiders look super cool and they fascinate me, but they also terrify me. And he has done a great job with giving me those creepy vibes. Again, it looks cool, but it also makes me kind of want to back up away from the screen a little bit. Like, just, and I think being able to capture, especially, like, I love how dirty the fangs are on this one. You know, I think he's just done an incredible job. I love the, you know, the color, the vibrant colors of the carapace. Really great work. The highlights on the eyes also really sell it, I think. That kind of reflection that adds a little menace to their stare. Yeah, really great work, Warpgate. I freaking love these. I wish, actually, I think I do. Here we go. We've got some more zoomed in kind of pictures here so you can see all of this cool stuff up top here. You know, the little dude with his spear here. See, and I love the Gobos and I love the old Wolf Rider models. And I was like, if I ever did, you know, because I love orcs. So I'm like, if I ever did goblins, I don't know if I'd get into all of these like spider models. I think I'll leave that to better painters than me, like Mr. Warpgate here. Or Mr. Miss. The Warpgate Studios. But yeah, super cool. Really talented. Love the color transitions there. You know, going from dark to light on the legs there. And like I said, the shine of the eyes really sells that menace into me. I don't know, like I really like the red one. The red one looks amazing. But I really like the orange one really gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like it's about to jump on me. And it's also got like the extra webs and the baby spiders and like amazing work. You've done a phenomenal job. I think that's a sign of how amazing of a job you did, is the fact that it does give me such heebie-jeebies. Like I've got like light, just like light goosebumps here from just like the effect that those spiders are having on me. We've got the adventures of Mr. Fish. He's Mr. Fish here with his runt herd here. I love that he always names his orcs. But got a runt herd done for a doubles tournament. Good luck in your tournament, by the way, brother. And I hope you have, you know, you bring the power of the Wa. That classic, immediately recognizable purple camo that Mr. Fish does. Very cool. There's a little bit of a close-up. So, of course, there's the purple camo we all know and love. Got some of the blood effects on the teeth of the squig here. Been chomping away. Also, interesting that it's got like, you know, it looks like the pincer or the hook has been all bloodied up too. Is that from combat? Is that from disciplining rogue grots? You know, is he keeping them in line with the pincer there? We'll never know. We'll never know. Giant spiders are what makes Skyrim feel like a horror game when you play it in VR. Man, I think it's just because I'm sensitive to the whole spiders thing, but it makes it feel a little horror-y when, especially like in those early caves and stuff like that, when you're low level and they're stronger than you. I think there's that one big spider queen kind of one when you're first leaving the caves. Oh man, and she descends on you and you don't really realize it, like especially if you're playing through for the first time, and she just descends on you. Oh my gosh. That was like a jump scare for me, but also like, you know, when something creeps you out so much you get the shivers going, like, oh. Getting into details, I need to touch up and finish off the bases. But I have here proof that the great orc known as G the Hyper Sapien can paint some pretty badass space marines. Look at that. Looking good. Of course, you know, if an orc player, the frostbite spiders, yeah. If an orc player would paint some badass space marines, it would be the green ones. Lots of experience painting the green. But awesome, awesome work, G. This is from Brother Thomas, Brother Hellchild. Hellworks here in the chat. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge, look at all these tattoos going up the side of this Beastman's hide here. These are not sculpted details. He free-handed every single one of these tattoos. That is so cool. Also, you know, great textures here, by the way. I kept wanting to call him a Minotaur at first, but like his face seems more rat-like. Whatever he is, he is a beast man, right? But yeah, super cool. Love all of the detail on these freehand tattoos. You know, the textures on the bone look good. Textures all over the fur. Cygor. Okay. Really great work, though. And he said that he wanted to take a break from the other stuff he was working on because he wanted to do texture. And man, he is doing a great job with the texture. And he said, you know, 2 other things he was going to focus on was freehanding tattoos, and then later he's going to be adding in some OSL. Dude, look at how detailed these freehand tattoos are. Got himself a Chaos Star. Just these cool tattoos just going all the way up the right side of his body. Man, of course, I don't have any freehanding or drawing ability, so I don't think I could ever replicate anything like that. But he cranked all these out today, by the way. You know, I think a lot of artists would kill themselves trying to painstakingly do that kind of freehand detail throughout the course of a couple of days. He cranked all this out today. It's so crazy good. More tattoos. Got tattoos here on the skin of, I assume this is going to be a space wolf. And, you know, the bluish hue of the tattoos really carries that kind of Viking theme. I put a corn symbol in the armpit. Oh my goodness. Dude, that is such fine detail. That's crazy. I do love the way he does his tattoos, because he blends them together with his skin tones and glazes them in. And they look like they're not just paint sitting on top of the skin. They look like they're like, you can see it looks like it's been faded into the skin a little bit. You know, like a tattoo should be. So, very, very cool there. I've always loved Thomas's tattoo work, though. Here we have the Grumpy Guy Gaming. Definitely go over, check out his Instagram, check out his YouTube channel, Friends of Frosted Fist, down in the links below. Grumpy Guy Gaming is one of the best painters that I know. This is his Horus Ascended. It looks so cool. One of the things is by the end of the Heresy, once he's accepted all of the dark power, the way like the inside of his Terminator is always lit with that menacing red glow. I've always thought it's cool as heck. But yeah, look at the details on like the gems with the eye of the Horus, you know, he's done. All the detail on the fur. The face, that face, man, just oh my goodness. Such sweet, sweet detail. I mean, faces, bases, and banners, right? And like, no one paints a face quite like Grumpy. That looks so good. Look at how much that red pops and that gold. And I dare say that looks like some delicious non-metallic work here on that Eye of Horus here. There it is, zoomed out for all of its beefiness. You've got World Breaker here. You've got the Talon of Horus here. It's like just really badass work. It is imposing. He looks amazing. He is on his way to kick your butt right now. One more shot of that really sweet cloak. And I love, like, he's got the scratches in on the fabric and it looks perfectly textured. You guys know sometimes when, me specifically, if I try to put, you know, scratches on whatever I'm painting using paint, it looks like I'm just painting lines on whatever I'm doing. But Grumpy's done a phenomenal job of really making it look like textured scratches in the fabric. We've got the Commodore. He's one of our mods, carrier of the bad hammer in our chat. And he is doing some really sweet purple Space Marines here with a bone color on the chest, bone color on the shoulder pauldrons, doing a purple and gold kind of theme here. It really looks cool. Love how he did the scar over the eye here. Solid. And this was his kind of you know, he'd taken a break from painting his Space Marines. This was his first model, getting back in the swing of things. He's doing such an awesome job, man. And like when I met the Commodore, his painting already looked good. In fact, he had a really cool recipe for his Imperial Fist that I'd never seen before, and it just made it stand out, look really good. But even though he started from an impressive place, where he's taken his painting to in the last couple of years just looks really great. Big Mac Danskull! I was thinking about you earlier. I was editing and updating my link tree for the Friends of the Frosted Fist earlier, and I came across your name. And I was like, I haven't seen Big Mac Danskull in a while. I hope he's doing okay. So it's really great to see you in the chat. Like, yeah, you were just on my mind earlier today, my friend. And there's a whole squad of Commodore's Purple Marines here. Like I said, they look great. I really enjoy this color scheme that you put together. And also, I guess because I'm just a big fan of purple. Like, I just love the way it pops. And the gold is like a perfect accoutrement to that pop of purple. Oh, you know what? I don't know if there's any music on this. I don't want to get a strike on me. It's nice to know it's not just the ladies that think of me constantly. Oh yes, oh yes. You are thought of all the time. One of my favorite channels, Heresy for Heretics. Okay, good, it's muted. Did this... Is there a way to make this bigger? No? Anyways, I am looking to paint up my sisters, or at least get a good start on them this year. And I thought I was going to do them in order of the Bloody Rose. But seeing this version, Heresy for Heretics, Celestine here, is just... It blew my mind. Like, I am very heavily considering stripping and repainting the few sisters I've already painted, because what he's done here with Celestine, with the synthwave look, it's amazing to me. And I have always loved this kind of synthwave color scheme. Like, you know, when I was in school, it wasn't very cool for, you know, boys to have anything pink or purple, but I was one of the few boys that, you know, would you know, collect Lisa Frank stuff sometimes, because I just love this kind of pop of color here. I remember one time my you know, super alpha male dad, actually found one of my Lisa Frank style trapper keepers that I had. I threw it away with my notes in it. Because he's like, this isn't the kind of shit boys collect. Sorry. But yes, this here, Heresy for Heretics, has done a phenomenal job. It is so eye-catching, like so popping, so I could like. This isn't just me staring at it now. Like when I first saw this on his YouTube Shorts, I watched that thing like 20 times in a row. I've stared at this Instagram post like 18 times. This right here, the synthwave color scheme, the white to baby blue to bright blue to purple to pink, is just like, is living in my head rent free. I feel like I need to do some synthwave colored sisters. But then, you know, this is something we talk about sometimes, right? Like, part of me is hesitating on starting something like a synthwave color scheme because in my head, I quote unquote know I could never make it look this good. But this is just so amazing. I feel like I need to have a piece of this. Like, I need to try painting some of this synthwave color on my sisters. And then, I know I'm probably going to offend someone, first of all, because, you know, I'm stealing somebody else's work, right? I know I'm inspired by this work, but, you know, it could be seen by someone stealing somebody else's work. It could be seen as, you know, some people will have the rivet counters out there because, you know, these are not colors that are seen in Warhammer. A, because it's not a codex color, but then also because it's too bright for a grimdark world. I'm sure a lot of people are going to say. People hate when you paint such vibrancy in the grimdark world. And then I have a feeling I will catch some hate just because I'll be painting Sisters of Battle, and obviously through synthwave, they'll be pink, right? And I'm sure I will probably get somebody mad at me for painting them pink, quote unquote, just because they're girls.